I remember you just listening with complete attention, which you should go back to that.
I ended up being drawn to you magnetically, and then
It was nice to see that you really cared and that you were like, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize.
I know you can be a little dramatic sometimes with these things.
If you don't even know who you are and what you want and what that's going to look like, when it comes, you might not notice it. Welcome to the Marriage Magnet Podcast, where it's not just about attracting the one, it's about becoming the one. I'm your host, Nechama Phillips, and here we focus on growth, high standards, and creating an intentional life and love through self-development. Navigate your dating journey with clarity and confidence, because marriage is not just a box you check off, it's your life. Welcome back to the Marriage Magnet Podcast. I am so excited for this week's episode because I'm joined by my husband, Yehuda.
Yay.
We're going to be talking all about how we knew that we were the one for each other from both of our perspectives, so that hopefully you can get a sense, hopefully you can glean some lessons and insights to help you on your dating journey, to really help you feel like when you know, you know. Because sometimes people say that's really vague, but I think there really are a lot of key things that you can understand about what's important to you and how to find that within someone, and to really know, like, okay, this is it, obviously with reasonable fear and doubt, but just to feel confident that you're making the right decision. So we're coming at you today fully energized, except you're still yawning.
Yeah.
But Leora has finally been sleeping through the night. Leora's our 8-month-old. And I am just feeling like a whole new person.
Yeah, it's like our life is reset again.
Except he was not waking up at night, so it was really just me.
Still, we all felt it. We all felt the effects.
Yeah, and also you were taking the kids in the morning for me, which was really nice. So that by the time like 6 o'clock came, he would take Leora and then wait for Adel Menucha to wake up, our toddler, who's 3. And then I would sleep for the next 2-3 hours. So that was like, I knew I was getting that stretch. But yeah, it's a whole new world when you get a decent amount of sleep.
Yeah, I still had to wake up early today, it felt like.
Just the normal time.
Yeah. Yeah, and now that she's sleeping through the night, we can actually do things again. We're going to go on a trip for Hanukkah.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
California, road trip.
We've been such homebodies, which makes sense. You know, she's only 8 months old.
Yeah, but we're due for an adventure.
Exactly.
Been a while. We used to do it a lot more often, go places, travel the world, close, far. Even like week to week, we were driving to different states to visit people, and now it's like home every week. Which
is nice. Now that we finally, we moved to Vegas like a year and change ago, so now we're just much more settled in our house with our community, and it's really nice and has its advantages. But yeah, we definitely haven't been out as much.
We're chilling. Chilling. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. All the Hanukkah stuff, looking forward to it. Favorite time of year.
Yeah.
Sweater weather.
Oh yeah. Nice and cozy.
Yeah.
Okay, so jumping right in, Yehuda, what was your first impression of me when we first met?
Oh, well, being that it was a dark and stormy night and you stumbling out of the rain.
Make it sound so dramatic. It kind of was, but
yeah. So my first impression was not so much. I'm saying I wasn't even. You just sort of stumbled into my life and didn't know what to make of you, and then that was consciously, but I guess subconsciously, I was very taken with you from the beginning. I ended up being drawn to you magnetically, and then marriage magnet method.
See what you did there?
Unplanned. But yeah, I was drawn to you. I didn't realize it, but I mean, I quickly did realize, but at first I noticed you, and it's hard to say what exactly it was. I thought you were my type, but what does that help anyone?
Well, what was your first impression, I guess, besides for that first moment of like when we actually met, but like your first impression of me as a person? Or as a girl, potential?
Well, you seemed like someone with values that I could relate to, as well as, I mean, you're good looking.
Thank you.
And you seemed, obviously, I mean, you were another musician, so I definitely appreciate that. And it seemed like it was all good things. So I definitely had to find out more and followed you around for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, we'll have to save our like detailed story for another episode. Definitely let us know if you want to hear that in more detail, because we can go through the nitty gritty. It was quite an event.
Yes.
How it all took place. We've definitely told snippets of it over time, and but it would be cool to maybe sit down and do a whole episode on that.
So yeah, we'll save that for another time. But what did you think about the qualities you saw in me that made you think I was the one for you, potentially?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just noticing like good qualities. You definitely were just very like kind and easygoing, and just the kind of person who wasn't gonna like fight tooth and nail for your right or your opinion. You just seemed very like go with the flow. You're laughing because that's me.
Opposites attract.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, but really I knew I needed someone right opposite in that sense of like, yeah, you just were sweet and easygoing and flexible, and I just felt like you were really willing to work on something if I asked you to, that something bothered me, something didn't make me feel good, or like I would prefer if you did something like this. You were just very open. And I think that was like, I think the key quality is like someone being willing and like wanting that commitment and wanting to work on things and make the other person happy. And you definitely had that like tenfold. So that was very encouraging for me to see.
I was open to the possibility, and you were the possibility, so I was open to it.
Was there a specific moment that you felt like I could be the one, whatever the one means to you?
There wasn't a specific moment. It was by the time I was aware that you were the one, I already knew you were the one. And it had somehow happened before that time. It was gradual, and I mean, thinking back, I feel like I knew pretty soon. So
yeah, when you tell me the story, you're like, I knew I wanted to marry you from the first minute I met you,
yeah,
or
but I didn't,
the first day, like the first initial time.
I can, remembering back, I know that I knew, but I don't think at the time I was even like thinking that far ahead. I was very in the moment and excited and head over heels, but I don't think I was thinking you're the one. I think I was thinking just.
Well, I guess something in me felt like I could be the right one for you.
Mm-hmm. I think I was less thinking in terms of labels and categories, and I was just
classic
very,
you.
and yeah, I was just very invested, completely. So I guess that means that I thought you were the one, but I don't think I thought it in those words.
So it wasn't so conscious in that way.
Right.
Yeah.
How did you feel during our first like deep and vulnerable conversation on that first weekend where we met each other?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to like remember exactly, but I think one of the things that stands out to me was feeling like I was interested in having the conversation, which sounds a little crazy, but I've dated, at that point, I dated a bunch of people already, and there's a part of me that was just like tired of like saying the same thing over and over and just like sharing. It's like, okay, here I go telling my story again to this stranger that like, forget it. I'm just so over it. But
you would, my introvert, you would be tired of that. I would be like, oh yeah, let's go say the story
like,
again.
Another chance to share my story. Yeah. So I think the fact that I felt interested in sharing my story and like sharing about myself, and then you were listening like raptly, if that's the word, right? Like, just, I felt like you were really wanting to hear what I was saying and just like really interested back, which again was like the mutual part, which I mentioned in the last episode, like that feeling of like mutual wanting to get to know each other and feeling on the same page in that way. So I think I just felt very like excited to share where I was coming from and my story and my thoughts and opinions and everything, and like let you get to know me, which I knew felt different than a lot of things in the past because I hadn't felt that interest for a while already. So yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, I was interested. I mean,
I remember we were in the gazebo, remember? Like, so we were sitting there Shabbos afternoon, and like, I remember you, like, yeah, just listening with complete attention, which you should go back to that. Now you're flying.
What was that?
All over.
What?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, can you listen to me like you listened to me back then?
Get me a gazebo.
I know, right?
That's all I need.
No, you're a very good listener. But I think you were so like focused and so honed in because you were like, I just need to hear everything this girl is saying. Like I felt that coming from you. And it would be creepy and weird if I didn't feel that way about you too. That's what I'm saying. Like that mutual part where I was like, I actually want you to care as much as you care. And I also really care. So that was a nice feeling of like, I'm happy to share and get to know you and let you get to know me. Were there any challenges or moments early on in our dating process that made you feel more confident in us, like as a couple, that like we could make it?
Well, the biggest challenge I can remember was, well, it's actually hard to remember what the challenge was, just remembering that there was a challenge. Something to do with my own emotional expression or reacting to yours.
I knew you were going to say this thing because I was actually going to be like, I have a moment, and that's that same moment.
Well, it would make sense.
Well, that helped you feel more confident in us?
You saying getting over it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so in what way? You don't remember exactly what it was? I can remind you.
Yeah.
So it's basically, I gave you a card for your birthday. You went to Six Flags, remember that? You're welcome. And you opened it in the car, and you were like, read it, and I wrote this whole like heartfelt, love card to you, and you read it, and then you're like, thanks. And I was like, that's it.
These things need to sink in.
Well, now I know you better, and I know that you process things, like you take time to process things. But then I was definitely hurt, and I expressed that to you. So now what do you remember from that?
I remember you being a little more than hurt. I don't know. It seemed like you were ready to like call the whole thing off because of it, which was very shocking. I mean, now that I know you better, I know you can be a little dramatic sometimes with these things. You don't necessarily mean it, but you do mean it in how you feel.
Yeah. I feel very deeply.
Mm-hmm. And I don't. I mean, I do.
I think you do. Listen to any of the million songs that you wrote with so much
I feel very
poetic emotion.
very deeply.
And you keep it deep.
And you feel very deeply full.
And express it, yeah.
So it was a good learning experience. Once we got through it,
yeah.
We learned about each other more. So you have to go through those sort of things.
Yeah.
Those, tripping over ourselves kind of thing, and then we get back up, and now we know not to do it again, in theory.
Exactly.
There was another time I remember a similar problem on my part. You showed me the lyrics to one of your songs, and it was really good, but I probably didn't respond nearly well enough for you because you were very upset and never wanted to
these things are so
share anything like that with me again.
Forget it. I'm not. No.
But you have.
Yeah, of course I have. I think I'm so, and this is I'm responsible for, my own stuff, and this is one of them, but like I was coming in feeling really not appreciated and not understood. And I didn't even want to tell people that I even wrote songs. Like, so when I'm sharing
past experiences.
Yeah. Okay. When I'm sharing this with you and you don't give this gushing reaction, it's hurtful because it's just like maybe you don't see that, like you don't appreciate me, or you're not like noticing, and I wanted that so badly. So I think that's probably, I don't even remember that. That's funny because now that you're saying that, I do remember it, but
I remember it.
When I thought of an example of like something that made me feel more confident in us, like that was a challenge, I do think of that first thing with the card. Because I remember after we were on the phone, and you were really distraught that you made me distraught. Really... No, I know, but you were like distraught that I was distraught. And that was not that I want you to be distraught, but like I think it was it was nice to see that you really cared and that you were like, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize that me not expressing in the moment, you know, thank you so much for the card, and like it meant so much to me. Like you not expressing that made me feel hurt and made me feel like you didn't care about this vulnerable expression that I just shared with you. And that you said like you'll try really hard to express yourself more in the future, and that was really not what you meant. You didn't mean to like, you know, brush it off, and like that was a vulnerable moment, and it like made me feel stupid, basically, that you weren't expressing, you know, but the fact that you were able to like own it and apologize and really care and show that you are like really unhappy that I'm feeling this way and that you want to work on it is like, that's really all I needed to know. And that's what I kind of said before about like the quality that I noticed in you, that you were so willing to like work on things and to get better and to like learn what I need and how to make me happy. And like seeing that in you made me feel very confident that we would be able to build like a really good relationship, that we would both be happy because we're both willing to listen and care and adapt and learn and change and grow. We're constantly committed to that, then things are going to work out in whichever way eventually.
Yep.
And get better and better as we go, which they have.
We're both a piece of work.
We're both willing to work, though.
Exactly. Well, yeah.
That's what matters.
Right.
One of the things that I felt when we were dating and having conversations, like I just felt safe. I think part of that was you showing genuine interest, but also just you as a person. Like I just felt safe to like share what I was thinking, to share my opinions. And I kind of want to ask you, like, how did you go about, what was your perspective? Like making me feel safe, making me feel respected, making me feel valued. Like, did you do it intentionally, or was it just like your nature?
Completely unintentionally. I just was being myself and trying to figure out what you even wanted, what the right thing to do was. Like I was too preoccupied with like, you were all experienced, dated all sorts of people, and I was like, I couldn't even ask you out to begin with. You had to be like, okay, ask me out on a date.
Oh my gosh.
So,
remember that?
So, I mean, I'm glad I made you feel safe, I guess, compared to previous experiences with people who didn't respect you. But I mean, I was just like not intentionally doing anything. I was just trying to figure out.
Well, you were
like,
doing your best.
I was just trying my best to
which was
be worthy
good.
of you. So.
And I felt that of you, like trying to prove yourself and like be the best you could be for me, which I was
so like I wouldn't.
honored.
I don't think making you not feel safe would be part of that. Like it's not what I was doing.
Right, you weren't going for
I
that.
wasn't looking to endanger you as seems counterintuitive.
Yeah, that's what really made me feel like this relationship was different than other ones in the past, because I did feel that, I think it really comes back to that willingness over and over. Like everything comes back to you were putting in, and I can tell you were putting in your best effort to like make me happy and to do things right and to show me that respect and care in the little ways, like with the pick dropping in my hand, which again, we'll have to get to the whole story. But just little things that, you know, you weren't just like stumbling through, like not realizing what you were overthinking, like how to act and how to make me feel, which made me feel like you were taking it seriously and you were valuing, you know, my time, my energy, me. So that definitely made me feel really safe. And I think it's so important to feel that safety, especially for women when they're dating and they're like, how do I know if it's the one? If you're walking on eggshells and you're feeling like, or even if not as extreme as that, but you're not feeling that, like, that safety to be yourself and to share and to see that the other person is like willing to match that and give you that, then yeah, that's not a great sign. So I think in the positive sense, this was a really good sign for me.
Score.
What do I do with you, babe?
I don't.
Oh my gosh.
So no one told me what to do. I was just figuring it out, doing my best, trying not to make a fool of myself too much, more than the allotted amount.
Yeah, more than the usual.
Yeah.
So what was going through your mind when you decided, like, I want to marry her, and not the whole, like, I just met you and I feel like I'm going to marry her thing.
This is crazy.
But when you actually decided, right? So we were dating, and then we were FaceTiming. I was in Thailand, all that. And then we came back, and we pretty much got engaged very quickly. I came back. Did I say we came back? I came back. You were there. And then we got engaged pretty quickly. So I guess what was going through your mind when you were like, yes, I want to marry her. This is going to be the one for me.
I don't remember what was going through my mind. I mean, I was like in summer camp. What was going through my mind was I was running all over a forest or a camp with special needs people, depending which camp I was at. I was in 2 summer camps while we were dating. And I was just juggling everything and you and, synthesizing my current / soon to be old life with my new life, my new wife, seems like it was going to be that. And what was going through my head was, let's make this happen. That's this seems right. And I was just going with my gut. I wasn't overthinking, I don't think. I'm saying I felt like this is what I wanted. I felt like you were what I wanted, and I was trying my best to get it. I was worried, maybe you wouldn't, you would change your mind or something, or you wouldn't like me, or something would come up that would cause a problem. But other than that, I was like, let's make this happen. I don't know.
Well, do you believe in the phrase, like, when you know, or is it the kind of thing that you think, like, there are certain things to follow, or you should keep this and this in mind, or are you just, like, do you believe, like, when you know, and you'll only know when you know kind of thing?
That's a good question. I would say yes. I do think when you know, and at the same time, there are things that when you're not sure if you know yet, you can be looking for shared values, shared interests, and obviously attraction, which we're all there. And I knew, so, so I didn't have to worry too much about other things, because
so there wasn't a mental list in your head of, like, check this off. It was more just like you knew because you felt you knew. That real phrase of, like, when you know, and no one can tell you until you're in it, kind of thing.
Well, I think I had spent also a lot of time thinking about who I was and what I wanted for myself, and maybe I didn't have, like, a checklist, but I definitely had a feeling like I was starting to know what I was looking for, and I was, self-aware enough at the time to recognize that in what I wanted for myself and other people and you. And so I guess I did self-work over the years to get to the point where I was able to look for what I wanted in other people.
And be able to notice it when it was there in front of you and be like, yes, that is it. That's why self-awareness and self-acceptance is the foundation for clarity, which you know all about, and I talk to you all about it. It's in my Marriage Magnet Method program. We start off with the self-awareness, the self-acceptance, and then comes the clarity, because you can't know what you want if you don't even know who you are and what you want and what that's going to look like. When it comes, you might not notice it. So you felt like you did that work and you were able to, like, spot it when it came around.
Yeah, so I think I did the most work in having clarity and self-awareness to get myself to that point where I was ready to recognize opportunities and take them and know that they were right for me.
Awesome.
And you were the best opportunity.
Thank
so
you.
I took it.
Awesome. And speaking of checklists, it just reminded me that you helped me with the ultimate clarity checklist that I created for you guys that are listening and watching. It's basically a checklist that it asks you amazing questions after you go on a date, dates 1, 2, and 3, and you can answer all of these questions about how you genuinely feel and think. And yeah, Yehuda helped me, like, frame all of them, and we edited the whole thing together. He helped me a little bit with the design. He's very artistic that way.
I also love multiple choice quizzes. So So
multiple choice, yes,
you'll find,
no, or somewhat.
you'll find my passion for multiple choice in there.
Yeah, so I developed that checklist. It's called the Ultimate Clarity Checklist, and you can take these quizzes essentially after you go on dates 1, 2, and 3 to ask yourself really good questions to reflect on like how the date went, how you feel, be able to tune into your intuition and like tune out the pressure and the noise and all of the outside influence that sometimes like clouds your judgment and makes you feel like makes you feel like you can't get to that place of when you know because other people are saying.
People like to talk.
Yeah.
People like to
give
tell
their
you what they think.
opinions. Yes. So if you want to grab the Ultimate Clarity Checklist, it will be linked in the description and or show notes below. So definitely check that out. It's a really quick, easy, like effective tool in your back pocket for your dating life. Yeah.
It gave me a great idea. You can make me one for what I want to eat in the morning for breakfast because zero clarity.
I honestly,
like
now that I know how to make the
and
quiz
I could, like, feel
structure,
it out,
no problem. I'll do that for you.
Very good quiz. So.
Well, you'll have to give me all the multiple choice options.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot.
We'll have to figure out a system, a rating, like
we'll
a scale.
have to do a separate podcast for what to eat.
Yeah.
In the morning.
For sure. Yeah, well, the scoring section in the Ultimate Clarity Checklist is so detailed on like telling you like this is the points. These are the points that you got. Like, this is what you should do. So I think we'll have to create a system for yours that's unique to your very
indecision.
Your very difficult predicament, basically.
Indecisiveness.
Yeah. I guess the last thing is really, what are your last thoughts if someone's watching this episode and they're just like, I am dating and I'm just in a mess of options. I'm going on dates. I'm going on some that are one and dones. I'm going on, we get to 3-4 dates and then I'm just like, it's not working. Or I'm dating for a while and getting like wrapped up in something that just doesn't make sense for me. I guess, what are your thoughts on helping someone out who's in the dating process right now, navigating their journey and just needs a little direction on their clarity?
Well, that's a pretty vague question.
Well, I just want to hear your overall thoughts.
Is maybe having
to the
a
dating
hard
single
time.
woman, to the dating single woman in today's
I should
world.
advise the dating single woman.
Yeah. What should they look
from, like,
for?
The man's perspective?
From the male perspective, what should they look for in a man to feel confident that this is going to be someone who's going to protect them, love them, care about them, be willing to work on things like...
Well, I know that something nowadays that is very prevalent is the amount of distraction in the world, and when spending time with someone else, noticing how distracted they are and whether or not, they're really focused on you and really invested in you, willing to, prioritize you, especially the time that you're spending together, is a very good indication of how they will prioritize you in the future and how into you they are. So
if they're not as fully invested in the beginning, good luck to you.
So
if they're distracted already, good luck to you.
If he's not giving you the time of day, I mean, obviously you should talk about these things, and every situation is unique, but that's something to notice.
For sure. I like that. That's very important. Yeah. It's interesting because, like, as you're saying that, I'm thinking, like, you're not giving the time of day. There's so many, and believe me, I've done this too, so many women who are like, he's not texting me back. He's not, just really, like, they're not getting the time of day that they deserve, just basic level of, like, even with the whole asking you out, you mentioned that earlier, like, Yehuda did not ask me out right away because he was nervous, let's just say. Well, whatever, in short.
I didn't want to impose.
I love you, but I don't want to impose.
I didn't say I love you.
No, I know. We did not say I love you the first day.
I mean, it was more like I was...
But it was very clear.
I was with you the entire time up until you left, but I mean...
But then when I left, you didn't say anything of hello. I was thinking, hello, are you going to, ask me out? And then we left, and then you messaged me on Instagram, not even over text, because you weren't brave enough to ask me for my number. Other guys asked me for my number, but you did.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We were already messaging on Instagram.
I knew that he was very interested, and so normally in the past, if I've tested guys before, I've tested them knowing that they would fail, if that makes sense. And here I was like, I literally know that you're very into me. I'm just going to give you the roadmap and see if you could, like, if you can, here's the bar. If you can make it, great. So I was pretty confident that you would. And I was like, you know what? Don't message me on Instagram if you want to ask me out. Here's my number. No, first I even said maybe ask me for my number. So
it's like a multiple choice quiz.
It was very simple. It was
that
very clear. Right.
That's what I need.
But when I've given clear instructions in the past of what I've needed or wanted, people did not follow through. So this was definitely different. I said, ask me for my number. You asked me for my number. We started messaging. And then I was like, well, are we just going to text, or you actually want to date me? Then maybe you should do something about it. So you called right then. It was literally like, maybe you should ask me out. So you called literally and you're like, hi, how are you? Can I take you out on a date? And I was like, yes, fine.
Maybe up until that point, I wasn't getting any invitations from you because maybe you were a little more guarded after your experiences. So I needed to feel like I knew somehow that that's what you wanted, and I wasn't sure until you literally told me.
Yeah. And I needed to work on that and still do, which I feel like, and we see that in our lives today. Sometimes I'm just like, I want you to be doing this, or I want you to be saying this, and I'm not really giving you the invitation because I'm just wanting you to do it and not realizing that it's coming across like guarded or not giving room for you to do it. So that's definitely a lesson that, I've taken to heart. I've done it then, and I feel like I continue to do that now and to work on that.
And if you want something, either of us want something, we have to kind of communicate it in some way to the other person. You can't just wait. If you want something, you have to give a cue or an invitation.
It's part of communicating your needs, but it's also not just communicating your needs and then like turning your backs, so to speak. It's like communicating your needs and being like, hey, like I'm here. I'm willing to receive it, and that takes making yourself vulnerable. And like you're saying, I wasn't so willing because I was guarded, because I did have experiences that were very heartbreaking in the past before meeting you. So it was hard to keep myself open and to be like, this is what I want. Now, will you do it? Hopefully. But I was, like I said again, I was pretty sure that you were up to the task, so it wasn't as challenging.
Thank you for thinking so highly of me.
You're welcome. You deserved it.
I know. Well, this was fun.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah, we could talk more, I guess, in the future. I like talking to you.
Here in this studio or at home.
Well, there are less distractions here.
True, honestly. We have a babysitter right now. We're just
we don't
chilling.
Get to do this.
We're hanging out on a Monday morning, drinking coffee, talking about...
Thanks for facilitating deepening our connection by talking about ourselves together.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for...
I was thanking the viewers for allowing us to do this.
True.
But thank you also for setting this up, because...
Of course.
If it was my idea, it would still be just an idea.
Still be in the idea phase.
It'd be a nice dream.
Yeah.
It's reality. It's very cool. Good first round.
Yeah. I'm excited to have you on more in the future, and you guys can let us know what what other topics you want us to talk about, what would be helpful to you. We're excited to have these discussions together. Reminiscing on our love story is fun always, but we want this to be something that you're going to be able to like take away from and you can gain from to help you on your dating journey. So I hope that this was entertaining and insightful for you on your dating journey. And
let us know if you have any other things you want to talk about in the comments.
Yeah, for sure.
If there are comments. If this is on Spotify and you're listening, then just think about them really hard and we'll read your mind.
Is that a communication tip?
You could do it. I don't know if it'll work.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this kind of clarity of like when you know, some people that say, I don't believe when you know, or I got married and I didn't know. And I'm like, that's scary. Right? Like, yes, I think there are different levels of when you know. Some people, it's not like a light bulb moment flashing out of the sky, like, you know. But I think there really should be. I think if it's right, there should be some kind of strong feeling that this makes sense.
When
and
you
this
feel
is
you
right.
know, you feel you know.
So it's not a knowledge thing, you're saying. It's more of a feeling.
Because you can't know everything when you first are, like, even with all the dating and engagement and marriage, then you really start doing the hard work. Everyone says, but it's true. But you have to feel, if you don't feel, and you get married, that's scary.
Right.
It's okay if you don't like really have that full knowledge of how that will play out, but you have to have
right, because you never know the future, and I think it's hard to, you can't, like, being 100% sure and confident that everything's going to go well, I mean, like, that's not realistic. So I think there should be reasonable doubt, reasonable, like, fears, making a decision, like, taking the leap of saying, like, yes, I'm getting married, like, that's a lot. It is a big deal, so it makes sense that there would be some fears. I feel like 2 days before we got engaged, I was, like, talking to my mother, and I was like, I don't know, I just don't want it, like, I don't know, like, I was just, like, in a little bit of a frenzy. I knew for sure that I wanted to
You
get
do that
married.
before anything you do.
I know.
And so do a lot of people.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I don't want to discount that, like, nerves and
fear of the unknown is...
Yeah, fear, doubt is normal, but, like, you
if
should
it's a real
have
thing and you're suppressing it and you're like, no, it's probably fine.
Exactly.
Like, and you know about it, and you're like, if you have clarity on something that's a problem and you're ignoring it, that's not good.
Yeah, if you're
but
clear
if
that it's
unknown,
a problem, it's really a problem.
Yeah.
And so when you know is a loose term that really is indicating a truth about you feeling very sure and like that you're heading in the right direction, and you feel confident and safe and excited to say yes. And yet there might be fears, there might be other things, but like you feel pretty strongly about it. And so,
and it's not if someone else knows, then someone else
it's not
knows.
if your mother knows.
It's if you know,
if
you know.
That's a good point.
That's a
exactly.
very important point.
Exactly.
You
and
have
that's why I go over all of this in the Marriage Magnet Method program, because I just think it's so important to, like you're saying, not only the knowledge part, but actually integrating the knowledge into practice with someone's objective guidance and support is so valuable and so helpful. Because if you don't have that strong sense of self-awareness and self-acceptance and clarity and being able to notice red flags and refining your intuition, which is, communicating your needs, all of the things that I go through in my program, these skills, it's like, it's going to be really hard. Like, obviously it's different for different people when they say, when they make this decision or what their decision-making process is. But yeah, you should really be making a decision to marry someone if you feel very strongly that in some capacity you really know that this is what you want.
I did.
Yeah, me too. And that takes some self-work, and yeah, but it's not impossible. It's very, very doable if you're ready to dive deeper into that understanding of self and the life and love that you want to create.
You just gotta be you. Oh, that didn't come out yet.
Nobody knows that song yet because it didn't come out.
Yeah, new album dropping soon, unrelated to this.
Yes, very unrelated, but
to being yourself and being real.
Yeah, I have a song called "Be You," and I don't know how that fit in here, but sure.
It's like being honest with yourself and not ignoring things. I don't know. It made sense to me. I just felt it.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of How We Knew That We Were the One for Each Other, and